If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high-quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Welcome to Make It Rain with Adam Schein on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Yes, Monday edition of Make It Rain with Adam Schein here on VSiN. And my goodness, we have so much to do today. A lot going on in the world of sports. So much to get into for sports watching, sports betting, for your consumption tonight. This weekend in sports was unbelievable. Saturday with the Colorado situation with Denver and the Nuggets and the Avalanche. I mean, that was, money moving all over the place. Can you imagine being a Colorado sports fan and watching all that? We will get into everything that transpired last night in a wild 4 hours in sports with the Indiana Pacers taking game one of their series against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Obviously, the Warriors are able to advance. We saw Golden State take care of business. We had some baseball going on last night, a legendary hockey game, an unprecedented end to regulation, and then overtime with the Winnipeg Jets and the St. Louis Blues. My goodness, just an incredible weekend in sports. We'll sprinkle in some WNBA. We will sprinkle in a lot of conversation later in the show on my Knicks and the Celtics. It's a rare moment where I'm going to be rooting very much against my play and very much against my wager on that series. We'll get into OKC going up against, obviously, the Denver Nuggets. But let's start with the Indiana Pacers taking game one last night against the Cleveland Cavaliers. And, this really has Josh Allen kind of vibes when you look at Tyrese Halliburton, who the players, unnamed in The Athletic before the playoffs started, said that he was inexplicably the most overrated player in the NBA, which is crazy in every possible way. And honestly, I think that it's a complete joke. I have long been a fan of Tyrese Halliburton and what he brings to the table. And, he made the point after the game that this is an everybody eats situation when you look at this basketball team. And, the ability for 6 different players to go in double digits last night. And Halliburton was amazing, 22 points, 13 assists, 3 rebounds. That block at the end had a couple of monster steals. The whole thing was ridiculously amazing and incredibly impressive and just insane to watch. Siakam, who won a championship in Toronto, was absolutely terrific. Nembhard was great. Even guys like Toppin and McConnell, who were, 2 players who did not score in double digits, they made key contributions. That was ridiculously impressive. And look, I'll be honest with you, and you heard me on Friday say this, I had the Cavs winning, had the Cavs covering. Things were obviously unfortunate and a little bit murky with the Garland injury. I said that Cleveland will win this series in 6 games, and I have so much respect for the Indiana Pacers. Truth be told, I thought that when Cleveland took the lead late at 102-101, and there was that Cavalanche in terms of the run, and Donovan Mitchell in the third quarter was off the charts amazing. And Mitchell scored 30 points in a playoff game again. That's the 8th game in a row Donovan Mitchell has scored 30-plus in the postseason in consecutive fashion. He moves past Michael Jordan. Think about that. Michael Jordan for the most games consecutively in the playoffs with 30 or more points, which is absolutely positively remarkable in every possible way. And once they took the lead, listen, I thought for sure they were going to go on a run, and it wasn't the case. So Pacers are no joke. This is not a fluke. Love what I saw from Jared Allen, who's awesome. Mitchell was superb. Evan Mobley is an absolute stud. The crowd was into it. This Cavalier team, 34-7 at home this year, which is amazing. Look, I'm not going to hot take this thing. I'm not going to say the Cavs are in trouble. I thought there was a real shot that you could see a split in the first couple of games. Now it makes game 2 even more important from a Cleveland Cavalier perspective. I still have the Cavs winning this series. I still have the Cavs winning the Eastern Conference and beating Boston, going to the NBA Finals. So when you look at the series odds board, nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. And if anything, if you can get Cleveland right now to win this series in 6 at plus 330, I'd encourage it. That's where my money is. So I think that you credit Indiana, you credit Halliburton, overrated my ass, and I think that the Indiana Pacers will be able to get another game. Let's hope, for the sake of conversation, that we see Darius Garland come back. Jared Greenberg filed a report on TNT that was ambiguous and a little murky in terms of when he would be available. You did see the line shift from 10, 9.5 to 8.5 by the time the ball tipped, when you saw that Garland was ruled out for this game. So we'll see what happens in game number 2, but I am still very much backing the Cleveland Cavaliers while crediting here, obviously, the Indiana Pacers. The Warriors beat the Rockets in game 7, and listen, we were telling you this entire time here on Make It Rain with Adam Schein that we like Golden State to win. And we had Golden State in 6, and it turns out to be Golden State in 7. So we didn't get a chance, obviously, to speak after the game on Friday. But I could not believe that the Warriors were dogs. I know the game was in Houston. I know, obviously, Houston had won 2 straight. But a little respect here for Steve Kerr, who is a top 5 coach in NBA history. Now 3-0 on the road in Game 7s in his incredible career, and he deserves so much credit for that. And, you take a look at what, at the end of the day, Buddy Hield was able to do, 33 points. He was able to bomb 9 threes, had 6 threes in the first half for 22 points in the first half. Steph Curry at halftime had 3 points, then finished with 22 points. And 12 of the 22 in the fourth quarter went with the signature night-night symbol, because he put the Rockets and their season to bed. And, this is a situation where, if you don't understand the greatness of Steph Curry, I don't know what to tell you. He's 37 years old, 45 minutes last night, 22 points, 10 rebounds. Think about his height. Think about his age. 10 rebounds last night, 7 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, and only turned it over 2 times. Look, we could debate the order and the ranking. Steph Curry is a top 10 all-time NBA player. And if you don't understand that, or if you don't like how he impacted the game because everyone tries to be Steph Curry and nobody is, that's a you thing. Steph Curry is an all-time great. And the fact that this team this year was able to do this, and I know what the Vegas odds said, and I was right alongside the odds makers with Golden State being a favorite, but that's the Steph Curry effect. That's the Jimmy Butler effect. And this team was incredible since they made the trade, and Butler was excellent last night. Tough and dominant and clutch and well-rounded, 20 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. That's who these guys are. And look, if you're a Rockets fan or you had a Rockets ticket, look, I do think that, first of all, betting on the Rockets this season was a bad idea, right? It was a bad matchup going up against Golden State with their gobs of big game experience. It just was not the play. Now, next year, if they're able to get a top pick in the lottery and the NBA draft lottery, which is going to be a holiday for a lot of fan bases, that's going to be next Monday night. So we'll have the coverage of that. I'll Make It Rain with Adam Schein next Monday and next Tuesday. Really very much looking forward to that. So that's going to be a ton of fun. They've got the Phoenix Suns pick. They might be able to make a trade for someone like Kevin Durant or Giannis Antetokounmpo. And we'll get into the Warriors and the Timberwolves. It's going to be a dynamite series. We'll get into that tomorrow. But my goodness, this is going to be fun. I can't wait for that. And what a job by Hields, and most especially Curry and Steve Kerr. Just a remarkable performance for the Golden State Warriors, who get out of the first round and beat the 2 seed, the young, talented, defensive-minded. Ime Udoka is an unbelievable coach. Thompson is tremendous. Segun Van Fleet had an excellent series. Green was wretched, absolutely wretched. Tremendous job, though, by the Golden State Warriors. The Denver Nuggets absolutely wiped the damn floor with the LA Clippers on Saturday night. And this was our last pick when we made our selections and put in our wagers for the first round of the NBA playoffs. So we got this one wrong. We thought that we had LA in 7, turned out to be Denver in 7. And if you watch the game, you know that it was actually competitive early. It was a really good, solid contest. I watched every single minute of this game from, let's say up until the middle stages of the second quarter. The domination from Denver needs to be stressed. I just love the balance. I love Jokic and what he was able to do, Brown and what he was able to do. Gordon was outstanding. Russ against his former team, loved it, absolutely loved it. He was excellent. Porter Jr. was strong. And I'm happy for Adelman, who's an excellent interim head coach. And I just love the energy that they're playing with. Look, flip side, and I'll be honest with you, and I am so anti-James Harden because he's such a diva and a failure and a flop in big spots. He has now lost consecutively all these games in a row. When you take a look at Game 7, and it's absurd, right? He's lost 3 straight Game 7s for 3 different franchises. The LA Clippers, where he was an ineffective 2 for 8, 7 points. If you're James Harden, and Grant Hill, who usually does not, throw out the verbal barbs, who's brilliant with Iron Eagle doing the game on TNT, Grant Hill was ripping the lack of energy and trying to, at the end of the day, if you're James Harden, be aggressive, which just was not on the cards. It was awful. Philly fans, it's like the Spider-Man meme, just pointing at, the Clippers fans because they know the deal. And that's what got, Doc Rivers fired when, you saw Harden just have an atrocious game against Boston. And Nets fans understand this. And nobody understands it more than the Houston Rockets fans. And, the losses that Harden would have, the deplorable games going up against Golden State and going up against San Antonio. And the whole thing is a mess. And I got to tell you, I'm mad at myself. Shame on me. Shame, 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 shame. Shame, because I knew it. But I took the cheese because he was so great this season. Love Ty Lue, love Jeff Van Gundy. So great in the first 4 games. Terrible in Game 5, bounced back in Game 6. My goodness, I'll never make that mistake again. Bag it, James Harden.
This is your before and after story. Instead of imagining a rewarding career in medical imaging, Southeastern College can actually take you there. Prepare for a career in ultrasound, radiology, and X-ray technology. With hands-on specialized training, simulations, and real-life experience with the latest imaging technology, you'll be ready to play a vital role on any healthcare team. Transform your life by helping others. Southeastern College. Your future is bright. Visit scc.edu to get started.
You're watching Make It Rain on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Smarter bets start here. Last all year long with VSiN Pro. For a limited time, we're slashing the price of our annual subscription. It's normally $240 now, $199. When you sign up today, we're going to throw in 2 extra months for free. 14 months of VSiN Pro access for less than 50 cents a day. When you use the promo code PRO, get 14 months of access to our daily best bets from VSiN hosts and guests, exclusive betting splits from DraftKings and Circa, 24/7 live video and full show replays on the VSiN Watch app, plus all of our special edition betting guides. Head on over to VSiN.com/subscribe now. Use the promo code PRO. Lock in 14 months of VSiN Pro for just $199. That's VSIN.com/subscribe. Welcome back, Make It Rain with Adam Schein. So many reasons this weekend why you gotta say you gotta love sports. Sporty sports, 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 sports. And let's be honest, what transpired last night when you take a look at hockey was unreal. What happened on Saturday night was incredible. This was just a couple of consecutive days that were just off the charts amazing. And this is why the NHL postseason is undefeated. I mean, it's on speed. It's wild. And, it's crazy. In terms of game action, in terms of fandom, sports betting, this was one of the most wild couple of days I've ever seen because, I'm glad I didn't have happy Twitter fingers and take to social media to get braggadocious about my Avalanche in 7 pick. And I thought it was in the bank. I thought it was over, right? And not the case. I mean, are you kidding me? And how about the way that it happened when you take a look at the Dallas Stars able to come back and win this game and win this series 4-2. Mikko Rantanen with the ultimate revenge. Remember, he was that second star behind Nathan MacKinnon for Colorado forever. And then they traded him to Carolina. And in essence, if you remember the commentary and the conversation after the trade, it was a money move, right? They made that trade because of salary, and they didn't want to pay him, and he wanted out. So they ship him to a different conference. Okay, fine, I'll go to Carolina. Except for the fact he didn't want to be in Carolina. He let everyone in Carolina know that. So they trade him, of all places. Mikko goes to Dallas. And we talked about this when obviously the series started, right? And, that was a big deal going in. But I still like the Avalanche. And I felt like this game was over. But you want to talk about the ultimate revenge? The fact that Mikko Rantanen was able to have 3 goals in the third period. A third period hat trick. Are you kidding me? Only the second player in NHL history to have 4 points in the third period of a Game 7. Sports. Sporty sports. Sports. You got to love sports unless you're an Avs fan and you despise sports. That was wild. That was crazy. That was insane. That was improbable. And honestly, that was just the beginning in terms of why the NHL Stanley Cup postseason is undefeated. I still can't believe what happened with the Jets and the Blues. Jets, Jets. And you know that one of my big predictions, one of my big money bets was the Blues in 7 over Winnipeg. And that was one that we thought there was a lot of juice. I thought for sure that St. Louis was going to win this series. Winnipeg had the most points in the regular season, 1 versus 8. This was going to be a major, major upset. And we stayed with it even after Winnipeg won a 1-goal game in Game 1, a 1-goal game in Game 2. And this puppy was over. It was over. It was 3-1, and it was over until it wasn't. And then with 1:56 to go in regulation, Jets get a goal on a deflection. Then they seemingly tie at 1:06 to go, but on replay, it's reviewed, and it was right that it didn't cross the line. Then, 1.6 seconds to go in regulation, a game-tying goal. The latest game-tying goal in Game 7 NHL history. My goodness, you gotta love sports. Or hate them, depending upon your perspective. Absolutely incredible. I was all ready to start bragging about the Blues. Then they go to 1 overtime, and, I thought momentum shifted from clearly favoring Winnipeg to favoring St. Louis, and then bam, El Capitan Adam Lowry was able to, end up going with the game winner, double overtime, 16-10 mark of double OT. Hellebuck was able to bounce back after it went from hella suck to hella buck, and my goodness, and it's absolutely wild when you take a look at what transpired. And after all that and the thrillers on Saturday and Sunday, we'll get the Jets and we'll get the Stars. And I am not even remotely surprised that this is where the odds are when you take a look at this series that's going to start on Wednesday. And we will take the Stars. I think that Dallas is the better team. I think this will be a great series. I think that you'll see it ultimately go 7, and we will take Dallas in 7. Dallas in 7 at plus 500. How about the Kentucky Derby? How about our guy Mike Somich when he joined us? And he said Sovereignty was going to win, and he had journalism finishing second, and we went along with what Mike said on the show, and bam, bam. I mean, my goodness, that Kentucky Derby was unbelievable on Saturday. That's why we spent so much time on it last week here on Make It Rain with Adam Schein. So hope you were paying attention. And Sovereignty outdueled the 3-1 favorite journalism down the stretch to capture the 151st Derby in that slop of a track on Saturday. It snapped an 0-for-13 a skid by the owner, and Sovereignty gave Bill Motts, how about it, a second Kentucky Derby victory. Remember, the first one was in 2019, also on a sloppy track. That's when Country House was elevated to first after maximum security crossed the finish line and was disqualified after that 22-minute delay. So really happy for Sovereignty, really happy for Mod. Just a tremendous Kentucky Derby, as always. That's a reason why you gotta love sports. And how about our guy, Scotty Scheffler, winning the Byron Nelson in historic fashion? Couldn't get enough of watching this weekend. Our friend, the great Andrew Catalan, on the call on CBS. And look, Scotty is still the top player in the world. And the fact that he tied the PGA Tour 72-hole scoring record with that win, that's unbelievable. He matched the mark of 253 set by Justin Thomas at the 2017 Sony Open, equaled 6 years later by Ludwig Oberg at the RSM Classic. Closed with that 63 to finish a 31 under par. And when you start looking at big picture and the upcoming majors, obviously, and Rory got the monkey off his back, and that's obviously a big deal. No one better at his craft than Scotty Scheffler, and that was unbelievable to watch yesterday. You gotta love sports. Finally, some good news for the Atlanta Braves. It was kind of lost in the shuffle with the hockey and the basketball on a Sunday night. But I'm into Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN. I'm into the Dodgers and the Braves. It's an old school rivalry. It's really been amped up based upon one knocking off the other as the other goes to the World Series 2 times within the last 5 years. Freddie Freeman's a factor here on the rivalry. Austin Riley, by God, that's Austin's music. 2 homers, and the Atlanta Braves able to beat the Dodgers. We hit on Yamamoto and the Dodgers on Friday. Good stuff, though, by the Braves getting back on track on Sunday night. How about my Royals setting a franchise record, bombing 7 home runs against the Baltimore Orioles yesterday? I told you, don't sleep on my Royals. This team's got it going on. Very much love Kansas City, love the bats, love the explosion. Did not love that they didn't beat Dean Kramer on Friday. As we said, we got some plus action on them on the money line. That didn't happen. So, what we did see, plus 114. Royals hit for me on Sunday. 7 home runs. You gotta love sports. Now, the Rays beat the Yankees yesterday, and the Rays take a series from my Bombers, and Jazz Chisholm's gonna be out 4 to 6 weeks. But reason why you gotta love sports? All rise. No, really, stand up. Aaron Judge is hitting .423 through 34 games. And it's amazing watching him play. And if you look at the MVP odds, you can't even wager on it because it's so lopsided. -900. First Monday in May. That's all you need to know when Aaron Judge is a combo right now of Ted Williams meets Barry Bonds. And how about some love here for the Tigers? I love this team before the season started. Kerry Carpenter, where it goes 4 for 6, 3-run homer, 5 RBI. And take a look at what transpired here with the Tigers taking care of business, bombing the Angels, which is pretty amazing. And you look at the Central in the American League, and I picked the Royals preseason to win the division, Tigers in second, both making the playoffs. Tigers now a heavy favorite. And in a wide-open American League, I'll tell you, Tigers have a real shot to win the AL. I mean, let's be crystal clear. There's no team head and shoulders above the rest. AJ Hinch's squad could be World Series bound.
You're watching Make It Rain on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
You ready to get in on the action? First Bet has you covered. Sign up now to access exclusive promotions. Bet on hundreds of thrilling horse races every single day. Right from your phone or computer. Visit firstbet.com. That's the number 1, stbet.com. Use promo code VSiN200 to score a 20% rebate on all of your wagers for the first 60 days. It's up to $200. Don't miss out. Start the betting today at firstbets.com. Welcome back, Make It Rain with Adam Schein. And joining us right now live on the Progressive Guest Line, you know him, you love him, you can't live without him. Our guy, Greg Peterson, of course, the host of the Baseball Betting Show podcast. And, of course, Saturday's Cashing Out right here on VSiN. Greg, how are you?
I'm doing great. That was an incredible weekend that we had this last weekend, and I have a feeling that this week is going to be amazing. Great to be on with you. Thank you.
It's great to have you back, and it really was a sensational weekend in sports watching, sports betting, and I'm fired up for the baseball slate tonight. By the way, every time you mention on Twitter and you have the clip from SNL, ladies and gentlemen, ludicrous, when there are no day baseball games, I literally laugh out loud every single time. There should be, when I'm commissioner of baseball, there will be at least 2 afternoon games every single day. I just want that on record. I laugh every single time you do that because it is beyond ludicrous. So let's get into all the night action. And I have to tell you, last time Sandy Alcantara was facing the Dodgers, I put a wager on the Marlins. It was money line plus 185, and the Marlins got absolutely bombed. I was throwing a darts, figuring the pitching matchup, which, by the way, favors Miami again tonight. Yeah, I'm not going to be that guy. I'm into the Dodgers, love watching them play. Ohtani, good odds tonight to hit a home run. What are you looking for? What are some plays tonight with the Dodgers and the Fish?
Yep. Now, I personally took this run line when it was a much cheaper price. You were able to get this earlier at like more of a minus 110, minus 115. This is starting to go to the moon right now, very rightfully so. This has gotten up to minus 140 in a lot of spots, and now I think that the juice is starting to get to not be worth the squeeze. But what I'm looking here a little bit more as of right now is the under, and that's because the LA Dodgers bullpen, you remember what they were able to do in the postseason, really held teams down. Ben Casparis is going to be getting the start/open for the Dodgers. I would expect him to be like your classic football team. Probably going to be going 3 and out here. Probably give you 3 innings, maybe if you're lucky 4 innings. And I do think that the LA Dodgers going to do a nice job holding down a Miami Marlins team that really, other than Kyle Stowers and Matt Mervis, they play a lot of station-to-station baseball. I do think that there's a little bit of positivity for Sandy Alcantara. And the reason I say that is that it can't get much worse. He's got an ERA north of 8. This is just not the same guy that we saw win the Cy Young Award a few years ago. Like, this is a guy that is pretending to be Sandy Alcantara that isn't Sandy Alcantara. So I do think that he improves that just a little bit. So right now, this total of 9.5 in a pitcher-friendly ballpark, I'm liking the under.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that makes a lot of sense. Listen, you want Sandy to be dandy and Cy Young-esque like he was, but a shell of his former self. Now, Yankees-Padres going to start a series. This is going to be fun at Yankee Stadium. Now, I do want to say, not to go all Al Roker on you, but weather is brutal in New York. It's going to rain, and then when it's done raining, it's going to rain some more. Now, no word on the game if that impacts the over-under. I've even seen the number go down. The matchup tonight for the pitching matchup, the guys on the bump, I think is interesting. Pivetta versus Rodon. I kind of really like the Padres money line at plus 130, and you know I'm a diehard Yankees fan. Jazz is out. Volpe's hurts. You know, the team's kind of a mess right about now. What are you thinking with the Yankees and the Padres tonight?
This is even starting to get up to a plus 135, plus 136 in a lot of spots. And once you get past the plus 130, that was my buy point on the Padres money line, as Nick Pivetta has been tremendous this year for the San Diego Padres. And I feel like he was just hurt a little bit by the fact that he played out there in Boston for all that time, because you always notice that he had good stuff. He was able to get a lot of strikeouts, but he was hurt by the home run ball. I just felt like that ballpark did not suit him well. That's a big reason why, if you ever looked at his home and road splits when he was with the Red Sox, he was actually a better road pitcher than he was a home pitcher. And for Carlos Rodon, you just never know when he's going to go out there and give up 3 bombs. That's exactly what Carlos has done ever since he joined the New York Yankees. And you mentioned that there are a lot of injuries right now for New York. And additionally, Cody Bellinger, he just needs to give you a little bit more as well. Like, Aaron Judge has been amazing. I wouldn't lay minus $9 right now for him to win AL MVP just because the odds of him getting injured just don't warrant laying minus $9. But the guy has been incredible at every facet of baseball right now. That said, you need him. You need Ben Rice to be able to step up. And I still have trepidations with guys not named Luke Weaver in that New York Yankees bullpen as well. And the Padres are number 1 in the big leagues in terms of that bullpen ERA. So being able to get north of plus 130, I do like that Padres money line.
Yeah, we're on the same page, and I hate betting against my team, but Padres. And Pivetta was a really good signing. I liked that in the offseason when the Padres did it. So we'll stay very consistent on that one. Braves-Reds interest me from a betting perspective, from a watching standpoint. Two teams, including Atlanta, Greg, for what it's worth, that I genuinely enjoy watching play. I think this is a fascinating one. I think the pitching matchup is noteworthy. What are your plays tonight with the Reds and the Braves?
Right now, we're getting the Reds right around about plus 130 or so in a lot of spots. And if you could get a plus 130 or higher, I do like the money line. Brady Singer, I thought, was a really nice signing in the offseason. He's been able to supply a sub 335 ERA. He's done a nice job, be able to give you some strikeouts. And for the Reds offense, they've actually been better on the road rather than at home this year. That's a little bit of a, shall we say, warped number because they scored that 24 spot against the Baltimore Orioles, against Charlie Morton like 2 or so weeks ago. So that does throw up the metrics a little bit. But for the Atlanta Braves, coming off of Sunday Night Baseball, and I oftentimes like to fade these teams coming off of Sunday Night Baseball because it just feels like they put a lot of emotion into that game, and then they're not necessarily up for it the next day. I wanted to do that with the Dodgers, but unfortunately, Sandy Alcantara just has been that bad this far this season. But I do think that for the Reds, they are going to be able to benefit from that a little bit. And then A.J. Smith-Schwaber is a guy that is really starting to come into his own, young 22-year-old, gets a lot of strikeouts, but the walks do concern me a little bit. That means that the Atlanta Braves might need to go a little bit further into that bullpen than what they'd like. And I still do have a little bit of trust issues with the Braves. I think that they're starting to take off. I think that they're starting to get back to their equilibrium after that rough start to the season, but still want to see a little bit more. So being able to get north of plus 130, do like that Reds money line. And in terms of that total, I do think that Smith-Schwaber does go out of this game a little bit early. So that 8.5, I do like over.
I'm with you, Greg. Those are two good plays with the Reds plus 124 and the over on this one. How about Giants and the Cubs? Couple of teams that are off to good starts that I genuinely like watching play. They've got dudes on offense without question. Look, I kind of like the Cubs a lot tonight. Fascinated to get your take on the Cubbies and the Giants.
I do feel like they should be the favorite, but now that they're getting up to minus 160, minus 165, a little bit of a point of no return. I would actually like this more if it was a body clock game and they were playing an afternoon game. Then I'd really be in on the Cubs, but Landon Roop has been pretty solid for the San Francisco Giants. He does give out a few too many walks, but does a nice job limiting hard contact. And with the wind blowing in Chicago, I think that actually helps out the Giants a little bit because the Giants bullpen is deep. This is a top 3 team in terms of bullpen ERA. And for the Cubs, it's been very shaky. Those guys like Porter Hodge and company that were so good for them in the back half of the season last year just have not quite been that. And for Matthew Boyd throughout his career, so he's had a little bit of a walks issue. If you look at his fielding independent compared to his ERA, he does appear to be doing for a little bit of negative regression with that fielding independent being darn near a point higher than his ERA. And I will say for the Cubs, man, this offense has been good. Number 1 in the National League in terms of runs per game. But being able to get north of plus 140, I do like the Giants on the money line in this spot.
All right, we'll write that one down. How about Mets Diamondbacks? Any plays tonight? A little revenge series after what happened at Citi Field last week.
And Griffin Canning has been tremendous. You're able to get him at right around even money, in some places plus money. I'm going to be willing to take a shot here. Ryan Nelson has been good coming out of the bullpen for the Arizona Diamondbacks, but I still have my trust issues with him. I don't know if his strikeouts per 9 rate is just a facet of him coming out of the bullpen or if it's for real. Meanwhile, for Canning, he has really been able to find a new home out there in New York. And additionally, the Mets offense starting to come to light a little bit more. Juan Soto hitting those 2 home runs, ironically enough, in the last game that they played against the Arizona Diamondbacks, I felt like was exactly what they needed for him to get going. And additionally, the Mets have the better bullpen. So I do like the Mets on the money line and felt like they should have been the favorite.
How about Mariners A's tonight, Greg?
I do like the over in this spot. I took this one. This was a 9 because, man, out there in Sacramento, the error has been very, very thin. Now you're dropping it all the way down to an 8.5. Like it even more. Bryce Miller struggles on the road. And Luis Severino, sub 1 ERA on the road, north of 5 at home. So give me the over in that game.
Greg, you're the best. And I do think it's interesting when you talk about the air in Sacramento because I do kind of like both those pitchers. I might play the under in that one, but listen, we are on the same page and basically everything else. It's going to be a great night in Major League Baseball. We appreciate the time, my friend.
Thank you.
If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high-quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You're watching Make It Rain on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Edge Boost is the first ever bank account built for the old sports bettors, ensuring all gambling transactions are approved. No usage fees, no minimums, or cashback rewards. 100% approval rating for all betting deposits. Sign up today at edgeboost.bet with the promo code RAIN. Deposit $25 and Edge Boost is going to match the deposit. That's edgeboost.bet. Welcome back. Make It Rain with Adam Schein. Final segment of the show. News, notes, nuggets, and our nightly plays, baby. And listen, we are extra excited for the NBA and the NHL tonight. It's going to be off the charts, and my Knicks are back in action. Go New York, go New York, go. And I can't stress enough how much I am rooting against my plays and my picks. The spread on this game tonight is 9. Boston is favored. And look, I don't want to be subject to exaggeration and hyperbole, but I feel like that if the Knicks are going to have a chance in this series, tonight is a must-win. Seriously, I know how that sounds. It's game 1, but you got to remember, the Knicks went 0-4 against Boston in the regular season. 3 of those games were lopsided affairs. Now, sake of fairness, and this is not spin here, okay? The Knicks were not at full strength in any of the 4 matchups against Boston. Not once. Now, flip side to that, Boston's been injured and Holiday missed a handful of games against Orlando and the Celtics and Magic series in the first round. And Tatum was banged up and Brown was banged up. None of those guys are listed on the injury report tonight for the Boston Celtics. And obviously it's Joe Mazzulla and it's great defense and the role players, Pritchard and White stepped up. And you have to expect they're going to do the same, and these guys know what it takes to win. And you have the Porzingis revenge factor after he feuded with management, and, you know, Phil Jackson ruined everything, and they got rid of Porzingis, and you know the deal, right? Now, I do think that tonight, in a lot of ways, you know, the Knicks' vision will be on display. What does that mean? When the Knicks traded for OG Anunoby and shipped R.J. Barrett up north a couple of seasons ago, this was, you know, about, you know, getting guys on the wings and, you know, go up against Brown and Tatum. And when they made the Bridges deal, it was go and get a 3-and-D player and someone who can go up and beat Boston. And when they make the Karl Anthony Towns deal, it was, okay, let's make sure Jalen Brunson has that security blanket. And you can find someone down low who can dominate and, you know, can do everything from the center position, block shots, alter shots, get rebounds, and also at the end of the day, you know, hit from the outside as well. So I give you all that to give you this. Here is the official prediction on my Knicks and the Celtics for Make It Rain with Adam Schein. I'm taking Boston in 5, and I think that that's the smart money play. You check out the series odds. I mean, it's not even close. I mean, it's minus 800 for Boston. I mean, they are a monster heavy favorite, obviously, as they should be. I mean, there's no other way to frame it. Look, Jalen Brunson's on a heater. Jalen Brunson is unbelievable. Jalen Brunson has 4 playoff games as a Knick, where it's 40 or plus points, 7 or more rebounds. The guy is absolutely off the charts, amazing. You know, but you could make the case that, you know, in this kind of series, you know, you trust someone like Tatum more. And Jalen Brunson's one of my all-time favorite professional athletes, and he's tough and he's clutch. I literally just named the most clutch player in the NBA this year. But, you know, Tatum's just, you know, averaged over 30 points a game the last 3 games and won a championship last year. And Brown's remarkable. So I do think we have to have some respect here for the champ. So I wouldn't touch tonight with the points. I wouldn't do that. We'll have some plays in terms of some player props coming up later for our best bets, but I do like the Celtics to win this one in 5. You know, I could see the Knicks keeping it close tonight. I don't feel good enough about that to ultimately make a play on it. And remember this, right? Knicks beat the Pistons, and that's amazing. Pistons really outplayed the Knicks over the course of that series, as we discussed on Friday. Nuggets, Thunder. That starts tonight. I'm so amped for this double dip. We have, obviously, the Knicks and the Celtics. That's going to be incredible. And that's Boston, New York. Nuggets, Thunder. I mean, we're going to have 1 and 2 for the MVP in this matchup. And listen, I can't stress enough how much I love OKC tonight. Thunder, lay the 9.5. I know some people trying to make a deal about, okay, there's rest involved. That'll equal rust. I haven't played in 8 days. Denver's coming off that grueling 7-game series, and now they got to pack up. And I love what Adam said after the game. Celebrate Saturday night. Get ready to fly to OKC Sunday. I just think it's going to be impossible. Love SGA in this spot. I think the Thunder will win this series in 6 games. Remember last year when the Thunder were heavy favorites against Dallas and they lost in the second round? I think they've learned from that experience. They signed Hartenstein in the offseason away from the Knicks with this as the purpose. I'm going to give Denver a couple of games in this one. I'm going to take OKC in 6. By the way, I have so much respect for the Nuggets and who they are and how they're playing, and Jokic is unreal. Otherwise, it would be 5. I'm going to take OKC in 6 and feel great about it. I'm taking OKC in every series the rest of the way. You know, preseason, midseason, before the postseason, Thunder my selection. So that remains the case. And, you know, finally some respect in Vegas when you look at the odds to win a championship. OKC plus 130. Absolutely, that is the play here. It is interesting with the Nuggets. Look at that, a 40-1. If for some reason you like the Nuggets to win this series, I don't. I would absolutely sprinkle a little on Denver at 40-1. Panthers, Maple Leafs. That series starts tonight in the NHL. Buckle up, Buttercup. Can't wait for it. And we're taking Toronto, obviously. And I believe that Johnny Toronto, Austin Matthews, these cats will be able to get it done. Florida has the experience. Florida is amazing. Florida won a cup. Obviously, they not only beat Tampa in the first round, they exposed them. They bludgeoned them. I did not expect that to go that way. That was incredible to watch. And listen, I think tonight, I'm not going to call it a must-win like I did for the Knicks, but tonight's kind of a big deal. I mean, guys, go back to the odds if you can for tonight for one quick sec. I just want to point this out to hit my point home, and I'll play it with Toronto money line at plus 105. But Toronto's a dog at home tonight because historically they lose these games. Historically they choke. Historically they can't handle the pressure. So I'm picking Toronto tonight at plus 105. I'm going to pick Toronto when you take a look at the series board. I'll take them in 7, which means I'm anticipating that they can handle that Game 7 pressure, which again would be in Toronto, in Canada, pressure, quote unquote, to try and deliver a cup, not only for, deliver a series win for not only Toronto, but for the entire country. I do think the Maple Leafs, it's their time to shine. They better, but it's, look at that, plus 145 for the Maple Leafs. That's what I mean when I discuss the pressure. And I still like the Oilers and I still like the Maple Leafs. Those are our preseason picks. When you look at the Stanley Cup odds, I think those are the most logical plays here when it comes to winning Lord Stanley's Cup. Caitlin Clark was able to rock and roll in an exhibition game that the WNBA smartly played in Iowa. They got a great crowd for that. She goes home. Listen, I said this when there was even more juice. Grab Caitlin Clark now to win the regular season MVP at plus 200. And I'm also telling you, I like the Fever at plus 350. The new coach, new young players, new vets. I thought they had a great offseason. I will take the Fever at plus 350 to win a title. Time right now for the best bets brought to you by G-Bank. Get the G-Bank Visa Signature Card today. Most credit cards treat the sportsbook and the gaming transactions as cash advances. That's even when you put your own money on the old card. G-Bank treats the gaming transactions as purchases, so you're saving up to 3 to 5% on the cash advance fees on the gaming transactions right there. With G-Bank, you're also earning 1% cashback rewards in all eligible sportsbook and gaming transactions, 2% cashback rewards in all eligible purchases. Apply now. VSiN.com/GBank. VSiN.com/GBank. So here are the best bets for Monday. Padres money line, plus 130. I'm going against our guy, Greg Peterson. I'm going to go under on the A's and the Mariners at minus 120. We're going to lay the 9.5 with the Thunder. And we're going to go over SGA, 32.5 points. And Peyton Pritchard over 8.5 at minus 105. Stay tuned to VSiN after Make It Rain. Follow the money. Mitch and Paulie are back in the saddle. Really looking forward to that. Then it's VSiN Prime Time with our guy Tim Murray and our guy Will Hill. And then stick around for Cashing Out all night long. Thanks to the guys in Vegas. Thanks to our incredible producer, Michael Cohen. Enjoy the game tonight. We'll talk to you mañana. Make it rain with Adam Schein.
If your job at a healthcare facility includes disinfecting against viruses, you know prevention is the best medicine. And maintaining healthy spaces starts with a healthy cleaning routine. Grainger's world-class supply chain helps ensure you have the quality products you need when you need them. From disinfectants and cleaning supplies to personal protective equipment, so you can help deliver a clean bill of health. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.